Part 30. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi-Sing Cao. Chapter 293. 291. Hijinyu pondered for a moment, looked at his wife and daughter, and smiled. Yes, at least we can live a peaceful life now, Hijinyu said, patting his wife's hand. I will go to village chief Chi now and ask him to find someone to help us build a shed here. We will often stay there in the future. Here. Okay, Wang Shuping said, I wanted to say it originally. Go back together, there is no need to stay here, Hijinyu said, although it is not very hot going up the mountain, there are many mosquitoes. I can't let go of these fruit trees, Wang Shuping said, looking at the newly planted fruit trees with love. In Nanji, their business no longer exists. Now it's here. Haha, it's okay, Hijinyu said, although Kijia village is remote, village chief Chi said it is relatively peaceful. A family of 3 went down the mountain. Hijinyu went to village chief Chi to help build a shack. Secretary Chi readily agreed to go tomorrow. Wang Shuping had been feeling uneasy because of what happened in Nanji, so she went to bed early at night. Although she had previously persuaded her mother not to worry about those peach saplings, Tian was worried at night and decided to take a look. She was going to the back mountain anyway. The peach garden was near the cave. She helped her parents look after the peach garden. When they arrived at the mountain, Tian walked around the peach garden before entering the cave. When they arrived at the cave, Tian waited for the Snake King to come out, but he didn't see the Snake King coming out for a while. Gilu me. Tian saw, Snake King, why don't you come out? At this time, the Snake King turned into a chubby little baby wearing a belly band again. He suppressed his blush and wanted to change back to his snake shape. But out of 5 attempts, only 1 was successful. It lasted for a short while and turned into a chubby little boy again. What's funny is that it's a little boy with a tail on the back of his butt. I want to practice, Snake King said angrily, you are not allowed to call me. I want to practice. Tian stuck out her tongue, was startled, and said, then you can practice, I won't disturb you anymore. The Snake King hasn't been this angry and grumpy for a long time. I still remember that when he was just reborn, the Snake King would often get furious like this. The Snake King was casting spells inside, but Tian couldn't see inside and couldn't guess what was going on. But the Snake King was in the barrier, so she wasn't worried. The main task today is to see Daowen. Tian squinted on the stone for a while, then went out for a walk. When it was almost 3 o'clock, Tian went out and prepared to leave. However, as soon as Tian came out of the cave, she vaguely heard someone talking not far away. Leze, are you here? A strange man's voice asked. It's so late at night that I can't see clearly. Why did you call me here? Tian didn't recognize whose voice it was. It seems that they are not from Kijia village. There is no one named Leze in Kijia village. At this time, the man named Leze lowered his voice and said, give you money and work with me. Don't ask any questions. Yes, yes, seeing Leze's unkind tone, the man responded repeatedly. After a while, we finally arrived in Daowen. Prick, prick, prick. It seemed like the sound of sawing wood, but it was a bit far away and Tian couldn't see clearly. Snake King, those people are going to destroy my parents' peach orchard, Tian said in her heart, please help me quickly and let me see who those 2 people are. The Snake King was sulking and had nowhere to vent. After hearing Tian's words, he finally found an outlet in his heart. With this excitement, the transformation was successful. It successfully transformed back into its original body, and at the same time the energy in the body became stable. It can transform into a human body or a snake body at will. The Snake King came out of the barrier and flew directly over. Snake King! Tian shouted in her heart. The Snake King has a bad temper. He won't bite those two people to death in one go, right? The Snake King didn't respond at all and just took matters into his own hands. The two men had just cut the fence and were about to come in, but the Snake King had already arrived in front of them. It is too lazy to bite these filthy humans with its teeth, dirtying its mouth. The Snake King swung his tail wildly, slapped it twice, and swung his tail in the faces of the two people. Ah! The two men howled like pigs, covering their faces and rolling on the ground. Then the Snake King flew back in the blink of an eye and entered the barrier. He Tian asked nonchalantly, then, will those two people die? You can't die, the Snake King replied lazily, go home quickly. He Tian pointed to the two rolling and crying people and asked, what should we do with those two people? It doesn't hurt anymore, they will leave here. Snake King replied, I'm going to practice, don't disturb me. Seeing the Snake King acting like this, he Tian hurriedly left along the familiar path. But since he couldn't die, he Tian was unwilling to let these two people go and wanted to teach them a lesson. At the same time, the Snake King behaved very roughly. He just hit people without asking why he hit them. Letting these two people go like this is too easy for them. He Tian stopped and realized that she was upwind, so she found a patch of lush grass and squatted down. Then she pinched her nose, lowered her voice, and imitated the voice of a sad female ghost, I was wronged. I was wronged. The voice was distant, shrill, and eerie. There was no response, and he Tian was a little disappointed. The Snake King in the barrier saw that he Tian wanted to scare these two people, so he created a misty blue light not far away from he Tian. There was a vague shadow of a long-haired woman with a long tongue in it. Leg, did you hear anything? One of the men asked stammering, and in the blink of an eye he saw the blue light, ghost. Liza was also stunned, his teeth chattered and he said, I heard someone talking. I was wronged. He Tianation's voice was even more shrill and the volume was louder than before. The figure in the blue light moved wider, as if he was very excited. Ghost, after saying that, he pissed himself off and ran away. In a blink of an eye, he ran several meters away. Because it was dark and he couldn't see the road, he hit a tree and fainted. Liza was also very frightened. He looked at the figure, swallowed his saliva, and said, there are no ghosts in the world. Whether there is a ghost or not, we'll find out when you die and become a ghost. He Tian said in a gloomy and slow voice, mixed with the mountain wind, making it even more terrifying. At this time, the figure in the blue light rushed towards him with his teeth and claws bared. I don't want to die, I don't want to die. Liza spoke indiscriminately. He was so panicked that he ran around like a headless fly. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 294. 292. However, there is a murderous intention hidden in the mountains at night. Liza, unsteady on his feet, tripped on a stone and fell to the ground. Snake King, can you interrogate why they destroyed Mom and Dad's peach orchard? He Tian asked, she really wanted to know. My parents just came to Kijia village and they didn't offend anyone. Even if she offends people, she is still sweet. However, the person who offended her has so many injuries and broken bones that he has no energy to take revenge on her. The Snake King has experienced 3 days of mysterious thunder, and his supernatural powers have become larger. It is easy to read human memories. The Snake King did not reply, but directly read the memory, and then lost to He Tian. A lot of information poured into He Tianation's mind. As He Tian walked, he slowly filtered the memories transmitted by the Snake King. As for those two people, they have fainted. Their parents will take people to filter and build the shed later at dawn, and they will naturally find out. She is a girl and will not come forward. Safety is the most important thing. Liza's memory is a mess. However, He Tian also found useful information. This Ertzi was from Hujia village. He usually stole and cheated, and had no father or mother. The village did not punish him too harshly because he was an orphan. Liza doesn't do anything treacherous or evil on weekdays, so he can live peacefully now. In his memory, there was a woman who covered her face and gave him 10 yuan to destroy the Daowen of Kijia village in the back mountain. This 10 yuan is the deposit. When it is completed, there will be 10 yuan left to get. Although Liza is a fool, he also knows the bottom line. In Hujia village, for the sake of his fellow villagers, the villagers would not make things difficult for him. But if you were caught doing sabotage in Kijia village, that would be bad. So I asked for more money, a deposit of 20 yuan, and after completion, I would pay another 10 yuan, otherwise I would not do it. The woman was very generous and took out another $10 on the spot. Money can make the world go round, so Liza agreed. It's just that the mountains behind Kijia village were rumored to be evil. They heard that there was a mountain god village, so Liza called Gauden from the same village to be brave on the road. However, instead of seeing the mountain god, he saw a female ghost. He Tian repeatedly checked the appearance of the masked woman, but found nothing. Liza's memory is only a short period of time. Although the mastermind was not found, he Tian knew that this was not an ordinary sabotage, it was premeditated. Who could it be? He Tian returned home and couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about this. When he woke up in the morning, he Tian was a little top-heavy. Looks like I have a cold. He Jingyu went to the back mountain with Secretary Qi and others early in the morning without breakfast. After arriving at the back mountain, I walked around Daowen and found that someone had damaged the fence. Village Chief Qi, this is a newly built fence. It can't be broken so quickly. Someone must have sabotaged it, He Jingyu said. It seems that this shack should be built as soon as possible. I will come here to watch it every day. He Jingyu pays more attention to these peach trees than Village Chief Qi. First of all, this is a guarantee he made in front of the city leaders, and he has to deliver results. Secondly, these are the treasures he got from Nanji, and he must not lose anything with his hard work. Secretary Qi looked solemn, looked carefully, nodded and said, "This is man-made sabotage. I didn't expect that someone would really have trouble with our Kijia village. We must take this matter seriously. Don't build shacks. Just build 2 rooms. On weekdays arrange villagers to take turns coming here to see the mountains and forests." He Jingyu was overjoyed. He just checked the footprints and they were those of 2 men. If he was the only one who came to see the mountains and forests, he would also suffer a loss in such a situation. That would be the best. "Thank you very much, Village Chief Qi," He Jingyu said gratefully. If it were a shack, it would be fine in the summer but suffer in the winter. 2 houses would be nice, with a place to stay warm in the winter. There are a lot of trees in the back mountains, and they use local materials. Because there are many people, things can be done quickly. In just 3 days, a 2-room wooden house was built, one for dining and one with 2 wooden beds. Secretary Qi also had a shed built outside to serve as a temporary kitchen. Cook. These days, people from the livestock team come up to accompany He Jingyu at night. Later, Secretary Qi directly arranged for several members of the animal husbandry team with good legs to take turns accompanying He Jingyu to see the peach orchard in the mountains. He Tian has been preoccupied these days. Working with the livestock team is not as cheerful as before. Zoli saw this and asked, "Sweet girl, what's on your mind?" He Tian raised her head, smiled, and did not hide anything from Zoli, saying, "My father and mother, all their hearts are in the peach garden. Now that someone is causing damage, I'm a little worried." "Don't worry, Xiangrong, Lao Qian, Lao Sun and I will go there in the evening to see the Daowen with your father." "You don't have to worry," Zoli said. "If those people dare to come and do damage, we will definitely catch them." There. I hope so, He Tian said. Hey, I don't know who he is. He is really bad. Although He Tian knew it was Liza, she couldn't tell because she couldn't explain where the clue came from. However, she had already read the memory of Liza, and other than the masked woman, she did not get any more useful information. After the wooden house was completed, He Jingyu took the mat and pillows to the back mountain. Originally, Wang Shuping was about to follow, but He Tian and He Jingyu teamed up to stop her. The mountain is very humid, and my mother's body is already weak. Even if she didn't encounter bad people, her body wouldn't be able to withstand it. He Jingyu was in a group on the left, Xiangrong and Qianshikan were in a group, and Sun Sihao and the second captain Qi Shuming were in a group. They were divided into 3 groups and took turns coming to the mountain to watch. During the day, He Jingyu and Wang Shuping stayed in Daowen. They even brought some pots and pans and ate directly on the mountain at noon. No matter what, you can always get fish, chicken, and rabbit meat. After half a month, He Jingyu was fatter than before. Since the last time it was vandalized, because someone was watching, no one has come to vandalize it again. However, if the mastermind behind it was not found for a day, He Tian could not rest at ease. So, He Tian went to Hujia village at night instead of going to the cave in the back mountain. She wanted to explore Liza's memory in a death. When the Snake King woke up from training, he looked around from the barrier and found that it was not the familiar environment. He Tian had been walking on the path and asked, "Where are you going?" "I'm going to investigate who is the masked woman who instigated Liza. I couldn't find the mastermind for a day, and I've been feeling uneasy," He Tian said in her heart. If the person failed the first time, he would do it a second time. He Tian doesn't want that to happen. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 295. 293. When the Snake King heard this, his head was full of black lines. "When you do these things, can you ask me in advance?" Snake King said angrily. "This woman will make her own decisions and be smart." He Tian stopped and explained, "Actually, I wanted to tell you, but I found that you have been practicing very diligently recently, and I don't want to disturb you. Even if you arrive at Hujiakan, find that Liza and read Liza's memory, why don't you bother me?" Snake King asked back, "In that case, why didn't you tell me earlier? I have already absorbed a wisp of that person's memory. Divine Mind. I can automatically read his memory anytime and anywhere." He Tian was stunned. She had indeed done useless work. She ran to Hujia village in the middle of the night and had to work hard for the Snake King. But the Snake King has already thought of the next steps. He doesn't need to come in person to know Liza's memory. In this way, it is equivalent to installing a humanoid recording device in Hujiakan. If possible, you might still be able to see the image, that would be a humanoid camera. Then, let's go back now. He Tian calculated the time and estimated that they would arrive at Hujiakan in a few minutes. "Why don't you go back and feed the mosquitoes in Hujiakan?" King Snake asked. "Don't make any decisions on such matters in the future. You must discuss it with me. What should I do if I encounter danger? Doesn't she know that her good looks can lead people to commit crimes?" "Yes, thank you, King Snake." Even though King Snake said in a harsh tone, He Tian could feel his deep concern. He Tian turned around and returned to Kijia village. After walking for a while, she asked cautiously, "Snake King, what new memories do you think that Ertzi has? I want to know who that woman is. Why did she want to instructing people to destroy my father's peach garden?" As long as nothing happens to He Tian, the Snake King doesn't want to interfere with human affairs and directly transfers the memory to He Tian. It turned out that Liza woke up soon after he fell down that day and found that he could still move, so he woke up Gauden from the same village, and the two of them left the back mountain in embarrassment. If they had been 10 minutes late, they would have bumped into Hijinyu, Secretary Chi and his group. Back in Kijia village, Liza and Gauden each had a long scar on their face. They went to Wang Shuilian to buy medicine and applied it on their faces. Now their faces are black and smelly. It's just that after Liza returned, he still thought about the woman giving him money, but it never came. Liza cursed all day long, but the woman still didn't come. Did this woman hear the news in Kijia village and know that the matter failed, so she didn't go to Liza? He Tian asked the Snake King in her heart. This was her analysis. The Snake King said lazily, "This is not what I, the king, can predict." Although the tone is lazy, the tone of the Snake King is a bit high and a bit sharp. "Snake King, what's wrong with your voice?" He Tian asked hurriedly, and it sounded different. The Snake King in the barrier was furious because it had turned into a human form again, and it was still an uncontrollable human body. "It's okay. I have to practice." "You go back quickly," the Snake King said. "You can read that person's memory again and see if there are any clues." He Tian saw that the Snake King was unwilling to say anything, so he didn't force it. The world of the Snake King is not something that her little follower can understand. He Tian went through Liza's memories again and discovered a rather strange place. Liza actually knew a lot of dirty things in Hujia village. For example, his village's accountant, who was in his 40s, had an affair with a young man from the city, and he caught him in the cornfield. Liza blackmailed accountant who many times for this purpose, mostly in the form of money and food stamps. As for the young man from the city, He Tian was stunned. It turned out to be Lu Lingli. Yes, in Liza's memory, the female educated youth who had a good relationship with Tonghu's accountant was Lu Lingli. He Tian was very puzzled. Lu Lingli was 2 years older than her and at a good age. How could she commit herself to a man in his 40s? Furthermore, although Lu Lingli is jealous, she is also very angry. If there were no accidents, it would be impossible for her to do anything. What is going on? He Tian wanted to know, but thinking that this was Lu Lingli's private matter, she and Lu Lingli did not have such a deep friendship, so she would not ask about it. It can be said that Liza's memory is of no use. However, life has to go on and work has to be done every day. Even though He Tian has something on her mind, she doesn't show it on the surface. If there are any more clues, she will report it to Magistrate Niu. The peach garden in the back mountain has survived under the careful care of He Jingyu and Wang Shuping. This made He Jingyu and his wife overjoyed. Originally, they thought they would be satisfied with an 80% survival rate. Now 100%, overjoyed. Especially the mother tree, the growth rate is strong. Old He, this tree must like this place very much. Wang Shuping gently rubbed the branches of the strong mother tree and said with a smile. They put a lot of effort into this tree, and they can see the slightest change in the tree. Yeah, seeing that these peach trees are in good condition is a blessing in disguise, He Jingyu said. The mountains here are very fertile and the water source is good. These trees will definitely be able to bear fruit next year. Yes, since the environmental conditions here are so good, in autumn, we will build a greenhouse and plant more peach saplings. Once good peaches are produced next year, they will be planted in large quantities. Without saplings, it will be delayed for another year. Wang Shuping suggested, planning for the future. Anyway, small saplings do not take up space. A greenhouse of tens of square meters can cultivate many saplings, He Jingyu said. I happened to pick up some stones, and we made a greenhouse ourselves. The couple discussed this. When He Tian is free, she comes to help. The days passed quickly, half a month passed. When He Tian was thinking about reading Liza's memory, she found that nothing could be read. The Snake King checked it out and said softly, "That scoundrel is dead." "Dead?" He Tian was shocked. She was still hoping to get information about the masked woman from Liza. "Yes, dead," the Snake King said, a little embarrassed. During this period of time, he was busy practicing and forgot about the outside world and did not pay attention. Liza is dead, but he doesn't know. In this matter, it lost all face in front of He Tian. "Then how did he die?" He Tian asked. "Is there someone who wants to kill someone and silence him?" He Tian was secretly frightened, realizing that the crisis was approaching. "I recommend my old books The Wine Lady and A Fair Wife. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 296. 294. The peaceful life numbed He Tian's nerves. Liza's death, although the clues were cut off, sounded the alarm for He Tian. "I don't know, so I will pass on Liza's last memory to you," Snake King said. "Things are getting more and more interesting." After a while, He Tian got the memory of Liza's last half-month. In short, the wound on Liza's face became more serious after being stained with water. In order to heal his face, he spent all his money, so he threatened Accountant Hu and demanded 20 yuan. Accountant Hu agreed to him at that time and gave him 10 yuan. He would use the remaining 10 yuan to make an appointment at a location in the evening. Liza got the money and secretly gambled and lost it all. After going back, I found a note at home, which said that we would meet in the woods near Hujiakan at 10 o'clock in the evening, but it was not signed. This was not the first time he had received a small note, so Liza was not surprised and went to the woods 2 miles away from Hujia village at night. It was indeed the masked woman holding $10 in her hand. Liza asked the woman directly for 20 yuan, but the masked woman refused to give it and verbally abused Liza. Liza was so angry that he chased after him. Then there was a pop and he was dead. As for how he died, there is no information from the Snake King. In this era, the death of a person for no reason is a very serious matter, and a murder occurred. Huai City sent a commissioner to Daowen County to investigate, and Qi Ling was the person in charge of this task. Hujia village is not far from Qijia village and has close connections. After He Tian returned to the village from the mountain, Qijia village began to spread rumors about the death of the second leper from the next village. What a pitiful death! He fell directly into the trap. At the bottom of the trap were sharp wooden thorns 1 foot long. The trap was very deep, a full 2 meters, and directly penetrated the internal organs. He died on the spot. He Tian heard other people's comments and finally understood why Liza's memory ended with a pop. During lunch, Grandma Chi San said, "Jingyu, Shuping, you and your wife are on the mountain, so be careful. I also have a hatchet at home. You can bring it with you. Maybe you can use it if you encounter bad people." "Hatch knife," He Jingyu said with a smile. "Foster mother, we don't need it, do we?" "Why don't you need it?" Grandma Chi San said. "Bring it with you to be prepared. Take the second leper from the next village who was killed." "Grandma, how did you know that you were killed?" He Tian knew that Lengzi was killed, not by accident, let alone suicide. "How did Grandma Chi San know?" After Grandma Chi San finished eating, she wiped her mouth and said softly, "That grove is usually 2 miles away from the village. Because it used to be a graveyard, so adults and children rarely go there. Secondly, there are at most some people in that grove. Rats, rabbits, and pheasants are usually not seen. There is no need for a trap that is so big, so deep, and has so many wooden thorns. Again, who would go to that place at night if someone hadn't asked him to go out?" "That's what the foster mother said," He Jingyuzhong said. "This is murder. We can understand it, and so can the police." Just as he was talking, Secretary Qi came over with a policeman. Seeing that the visitor was Qi Ling, He Tian smiled and said, Brother Chi, why are you here? A murder occurred and I came here to investigate. We asked about some things related to Daowin and wanted to find out more about it. Chi Ling explained, these two are your parents, right? He Tian Tian nodded and introduced, this is my grandma, and these are my parents. Mom, Dad, Grandma, this is Brother Dajan's comrade Chi Ling. He is a policeman and works in the Hawaii City Public Security Bureau. Hello Grandma, hello Aunt, and Uncle. Chi Ling stepped forward to say hello, very politely. He Jingyu chuckled and said, you are busy with official duties now, so you should talk about business first. Chi Ling nodded and said, the thing is like this. Hu Orlei, who died last night, died abnormally. Multiple evidence proves that he was murdered. We are here to investigate. He Jingyu frowned and said, we should cooperate with the investigation. It's just that we have just come to Kijia village, and we don't even recognize the people here, let alone the people in the next village. Chi Ling smiled and explained, when we were interrogating a man named Hu Gaodan in Hujia village, he betrayed Liza who once took him to destroy your Daowin, so I want to know why Liza wanted to destroy Chi Daowin in Jiakan. Before He Jingyu could answer, Village Chief Chi was shocked and asked, did Liza do that? Yes, Hu Gaodan said that. He also went with him that day and said he saw a female ghost. Chi Ling said. Hu Gaodan was talking nonsense, and he didn't know which of his words were true. He Jingyu said, that day, Village Chief Chi and I arrived there in the morning and found that the fence was broken, and there were marks of cuts by a knife. There were many footprints on the ground, but no matter how many there were, we didn't know and couldn't check them. If we don't find anyone, we can only build a house on the mountain and send people to guard it. The assistant beside Chi Ling began to record. That's all? Chi Ling asked. That's all, He Jingyu said. If you don't believe me, ask Secretary Chi. Village Chief Chi nodded and said, that's right. We know pretty much the same thing. Seeing that Daowin was not harmed, we didn't continue to investigate. Did you or Kijiakan offend anyone? Chi Ling asked. These people are probably not causing damage just to get up and take a walk at night. He Jingyu shook his head and said, I just came to Kijia village and I didn't offend anyone. He Tian Tian and Grandma Chi San looked at each other and thought of Chi Jiangguo's family. Especially He Tian Tian, remembering that Liza's memory was bribed by a woman. Could that woman be Chi Fang Fang? But soon, He Tian Tian denied it. How could Chi Fang Fang, a girl, go to Hujiakan in the middle of the night? Chi Fang Fang wouldn't dare even if she had 10 courages. Grandma Chi San gave Secretary Chi a wink. Village Chief Chi understood and guessed that He Jingyu and his wife probably didn't know about it yet. Okay, we understand. We will visit you when we have time in the future. I still have to investigate the case. After Chi Ling understood the situation, he went to other places to investigate. Official matters are important, He Jingyu said politely. He had no friendship with Chi Ling, and he did not take the polite words they said seriously. After going out, Village Chief Chi told Chi Ling about the scandalous thing Chi Jiangguo did at the beginning of this year. Chi Ling squinted his eyes slightly after hearing this, and then went to Chi Jiangguo's home. Chi Shulai saw someone going to his eldest brother's house and quickly followed him. Everyone in the village knew what Chi Jiangguo had done. Someone was targeting the Daowin where He Jingyu was in charge. The first person to suspect was someone who had had conflicts with He Tian Tian during the holidays. Please give me a reward, please give me a monthly ticket. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 297. 295. Chi Ling made some inquiries and recorded everything, and felt that the person who committed the crime was not Chi Fang Fang. As for Chi Shulai, who had previously opposed Village Chief Chi's decision, although he had a motive, there was no evidence and Kai Ling could not say anything. Chi Ling returned to Liza's house again and searched again, hoping to find some evidence. The house is in tatters and there is no gain. Chi Ling walked around the yard and saw some scraps of paper on the inside of the gate, which were torn into pieces. Chi Ling picked it up and found that there were words written with a pen on the paper. Chi Ling and two colleagues picked up all the scraps of paper on the ground and asked one of the police officers to put them together to see what was written on them. Although it was incomplete, Chi Ling could also tell that it was a note asking Liza to go out. Liza did not go there on his own, but was invited out by someone else. This further confirms the fact that Liza was murdered. Chi Ling was thinking and smoking at the village branch in Hujia village. "Captain Chi, what should we do if we don't have any clues now?" Policeman Wu asked. "This matter is very difficult." Chi Ling thought for a while and said, "The only way is to use stupid methods. Ask those who have been in contact with Liza recently to see if there is anything suspicious." "That's the only way," old Wu nodded. The first scene of Liza's death was a trap, but because too many people came to watch the fun, the scene was destroyed and no useful evidence could be collected. Just when I was at a loss, an old man dragged a young man in his 20s in and cursed, "You bastard, you dare to take any money? I'm not afraid of the scoundrels coming to you." "Old man, what's the matter with you?" Chi Ling asked. "They wanted to investigate a murder case, but they didn't have time to deal with family conflicts." "Either this ignorant son is a debt collector," the old man asked the police. "My son went with everyone to get Liza out of the trap. This kid picked up 10 yuan in the trap, and this is it. If I hadn't seen him take it out, I wouldn't have known it. Our family has a long life and can't spend this kind of life-saving money, so I took someone to hand it over." Chi Ling was stunned, looked at the money in the old man's hand, and asked the young man, "Did you really pick it up from a trap?" "Yes, comrade police, I was greedy for a moment. Please forgive us for the sake of us taking the initiative to admit our mistakes and turn them in." The young man Hu Daimao nodded and begged for mercy. "Hey, it's all the fault of the old antique father at home. If he doesn't hand it over, nothing will happen. Not only do you have money to spend, but you don't have to be investigated by the police." Chi Ling picked up the money. It was 10 yuan, half new, with a small corner missing from the corner. 10 yuan is a lot. "Do you know the source of Liza's money?" Chi Ling asked. "This is a person from Hujia village. He should know some of Liza's family situation." The old man frowned and said, "Originally, the deceased was the most important, but everyone said that Liza was killed by others. I am saying this now because I want Liza to die in peace. Liza, since his mother passed away, has not learned well and has not learned anything. He works hard, but his life is not good. He has to use the few cents he has to buy wine, let alone the 10 yuan. Furthermore, our village did not receive any money last year, and the family is usually in a good situation. Yes, you don't necessarily have 10 yuan, let alone this scoundrel who can't keep any money." Chi Ling also felt that what the old man said was true. Xiao Chen next to him made a note and read it to the old man. The old man approved it, and the father and son signed the confession. Chi Ling carefully observed the $10 bill. It was a bit worn and had obviously been used for a long time. "Pick it up and smell it, there is only the unique smell of money, nothing special about it. The only difference is the missing corner." The young man said that it was in Liza's abdomen, and the money did not belong to Liza, so it belonged to the person who asked Liza out, or who killed Liza. Without a clue, the three men continued to investigate in the village. This work is arduous and complicated. He Tian was also very curious, who was that masked woman? Chi Ling came to Kijia village in the evening after a tiring day to visit Secretary Chi. Secretary Chi left Chi Ling to eat at home and asked He Jingyu to come over and drink together. He Jingyu learned about the 10 yuan thing from Chi Ling. He Jingyu went back at night and talked to his wife and daughter who were enjoying the cool air in the yard. "Money. Another $10. In addition to the masked woman, There are also accountants Hu and Lu Lingli who have money dealings with Liza. Liza broke into accountant Hu and Lu Lingli's adultery, and threatened accountant Hu several times. This time, I blackmailed accountant Hu for $20 again, but accountant Hu only gave me $10 at that time, and said I would give him another $10 in the evening, and we would make an appointment at the location in the evening. In Liza's memory, $10 appeared repeatedly several times. What is the relationship between Lu Lingli and the masked woman? Could it be a person? If you were alone, why would you, Lu Lingli, do such a thing? Although there was some unpleasantness between her and Lu Lingli before, they had already talked it out. Moreover, when Lu Lingli came to her to fetch water, He Tian did not refuse, but agreed. Lu Lingli had no motive to do this. He Tian realized that she didn't have the brains to be a detective, and she became confused as she thought about it. When I woke up, it was already 7 o'clock the next morning. Mother Wang Shuping had already prepared breakfast and asked He Tian to come over for dinner. Ever since her mother came over, He Tian has become lazy. He Tian has to go to work today and has no time to go to Hujia village to inquire about news. Furthermore, there are policemen in Hujia village now, so it is really hard to explain why she, a girl, went there rashly. The Snake King has been very irritable recently, and He Tian doesn't want to bother him all the time. Hey, I don't want to think about it anymore, keep working, working. What Liza destroyed the Daowin was due to unfinished business. The masked woman will definitely not let it go and will definitely take action again. No evidence can be found, so we must remain unchanged in the face of ever-changing situations. However, He Tian had just returned home from work at night when she heard another breaking news. Oh, what kind of world is this? Grandma Chi-san lamented. One person died and we haven't found out yet, so why did another person die? He Tian was stunned and asked, who died again? Hu Gaodan from Hujiakan, Grandma Chi-san replied, both Hu Orli and Hu Gaodan are not good people, but it's scary to die like this. I don't know who they offended. Alive and dead. Hu Gaodan, He Tian was dumbfounded, the person who came with Hu Orli to destroy our peach garden. Wang Shuping held the cut cantaloupe and sighed, yes, now everyone knows that these two people once destroyed the peach garden in Kijia village. Hu Orli is dead, and now Hu Urgu is also dead, and some messy rumors are starting to spread outside. Matter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 298. 296. Grandma Chi-san heard this and said with relief, we have done nothing wrong, and we are not afraid of ghosts knocking on the door. As for Hu Orli and Hu Gaodan are dead, it has nothing to do with us. They destroyed things in our village and did not go to find them. They are already dead. He is a man of great benevolence and kindness. Yes, Mom, the death of those two people has nothing to do with our family. He Tian persuaded, even if it was related, they were the ones behind it. Now that the matter has been exposed, people have begun to kill people and silence them. Wang Shuping nodded and said, anyway, we are innocent and no one can wrongly accuse us. Hu Orli fell into a trap and was stabbed to death, so how did Hu Urgu die? He Tian asked. Hu Gaodan's death may shed light on the case that was at a loss. Killing Hu Gaodan, and even when the police were in Hujiakan, he showed the appearance of jumping over the wall in a hurry. The more you do, the more holes you leave behind. He was pushed to the cliff behind and fell to death. Grandma Chi-san replied, whoever goes to the mountain with nothing to do, probably didn't do anything good. He Tian kept it in mind. At the same time, He Tian also regretted a little, why didn't she let the Snake King read Hu Urgu's memory in the first place? Hey, She was so smart that she thought Liza was the mastermind, and she thought Hu Gauden was just a follower. She didn't know who the mastermind was, so she didn't bother. But they forgot that Hu Urbe had no wife and children. The person who knew Hu Urbe best was the little follower Hu Gauden. But it's too late to regret now, Hu Gauden is already dead. Kailing is one head and too big in Hujia village, and the case is complicated and confusing. Just when Qi Ling was at a loss what to do, he heard Lao Wu bringing an old man over and saying, "Captain Qi, Hu Gauden's father is here and wants to report something." Qi Ling stood up and personally greeted Hu Gauden's father. This is an old man in his 50s, with gray hair and wrinkles on his face. "Old man, please forgive me. We are currently investigating urgently to find the real culprit as soon as possible and give your son justice," Qi Ling said, saying a few words to let the old man calm down his grief. "If you have any clues, think about it carefully, tell us." The old man wiped his eyes and choked up, "Public security, I'm just a son." Although he usually behaves a little bit, he didn't make any big mistakes. After Leza died some time ago, something went wrong with him. He kept himself locked up at home for a while. Laughing, he was frightened and restless for a while. I thought he was scared and wanted to take him to see a doctor, but he said it was okay after I asked him again and again. Get rich, Qi Ling frowned. In this era, there is no chance to get rich overnight. Yes, he said that someone would give him money in a few days, the old man said. I asked him who would give him money, but he wouldn't tell me. He only told me that in the future, those who eat well and drink spicy food will know one bullied us in Hujiakan. I didn't take it seriously at the time. I asked him to go to work the day before yesterday, but he didn't go. Gauden didn't come back either. He didn't come home often before, so I didn't take it to heart. But he didn't come by yesterday afternoon. I asked someone to look for him, but I didn't expect my son. Everyone knows what happened next. Hu Gauden fell into the cliff and died. Qi Ling thought carefully about the old man's words. Someone gave him money. Who gives him money for no reason? They are popular and drink spicy food. No one in Hujiakan dares to bully them anymore? This sentence is very crucial. Qi Ling can deduce that Hu Gauden can benefit from someone, and this person must be from Hujiakan. Hu Gauden and his father have always been looked down upon by others. The only person who can improve their status in Hujia village is the village cotters. As for why the village cotters were willing to help Hu Gauden, it was definitely not because they sympathized with Hu Gauden, but because they had some leverage in Hu Gauden's hands and had to do this. In the same way, perhaps Hu Orli's death was silenced because he knew the secret. Old man, if you think about it again, if there are any omissions, you can tell me anything related to your son. It's best not to say anything, Qi Ling said. From the old man's words, he had already got the basic scope. There are only a few village cotters in a village, and they will be investigated one by one later. The old man thought about it carefully. Anyway, his son was dead. He didn't have much reputation as an old man. He said, although my son is a bastard, he rarely curses others. But recently I occasionally heard my son calling sluts and stinky bitches. Smelly bitch, I scolded him several times and asked him who he was scolding, but he said I shouldn't ask any more questions. Qi Ling was overjoyed and got another piece of evidence that the mastermind might be a woman. But there is another possibility, that this woman is one of the masterminds. After all, Hu Orli and Hu Gauden are both young men with great strength. If there is only one woman, after killing Hu Orli, Hu Gauden can still push Hu Gauden to the cliff when he is vigilant. It must not be something that a woman can do. From this, it can be inferred that there may be an accomplice. Thank you very much, old man. If you think of other questions, you must tell us, Qi Ling said, getting very useful information from Hu Gauden's father. The old man wiped his eyes and said, then please leave it to the police. When I think of it, I will definitely come over and tell you. After the old man left, Kai Ling, Lao Wu, and Xiao Chen held a meeting and targeted several village cotters. Old Wu, what do you think? Qi Ling asked. We have no clue now. We can boldly imagine various situations based on Hu Gaodan's father's words. Old Wu smiled and said, I think the people who killed Hu Gaodan and Hu Orlui should be the same group of people. Do you also think they are not a group of people? Qi Ling asked, which coincided with his thoughts. Yes, the pair of murderers should be a man and a woman. They were caught in an adulterous relationship by Hu Erbei, so they were blackmailed by Hu Erbei. Hu Erbei died in that remote grove, and a trap was specially dug. It can be seen that this was premeditated, and it is very likely that the man and woman committed the murder because they could not bear the blackmail, Old Wu said slowly, taking a puff of cigarette to refresh himself. I think so too. They thought they would be fine after killing Hu Orlui. They never thought that Hu Gaodan also knew about their affairs. At the same time, Hu Gaodan knew about their affairs, and it was not just an affair. There was still a human life. So they did not stop and killed Hu Gaodan. Qi Ling added that before there were more clear clues, they could only imagine and reason. Making reasonable guesses is also one of the ways to solve crimes. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 299. 297. After making a bold assumption, Qi Ling and Lao Wu continued to discuss the next countermeasures. At this time, the city and the county sent several police officers to assist in the investigation. 2 people died in succession, and the city and the county attached great importance to it, requiring them to solve the case within 7 days. The reason for this urgency is, on the one hand, to ease the pressure of public opinion and reduce the fear of the people. On the other hand, the province is now patrolling, and if there is no clue in this matter, it will definitely affect the official hats of the leaders. Several public security personnel examined several village cotters and finally got a clue after 3 days. A public security officer who is good at accounting found that there was a problem with the accounts of Hujia village, which involved a deficit of more than 100 yuan. Following the clues, he found Accountant Hu and understood the situation. Accountant Hu's quibbling aroused the suspicion of the public security personnel even more. Late at night, Lu Lingli asked Accountant Hu to come out. Brother Hu, what should we do? Lu Lingli touched her belly and said excitedly, my child, what if? Lu Lingli and Accountant Hu had an affair before, which was discovered by Hu Erlai, and they were often blackmailed. After that, they killed Hu Erlai. Lu Lingli told Accountant Hu that she was pregnant, and was discovered by Hu Gaodan again. They had no money to give Hu Gaodan, so they first held Hu Gaodan and looked for an opportunity to kill him. Killing one person is also a crime of murder, and killing 2 is also a crime of murder. They killed Hu Gaodan again. They thought that the police would leave if they couldn't find any clues, but they didn't expect that Hu Gaodan's father also knew some fur. Based on these clues, the police found Accountant Hu. However, they only suspect the accounts now, but after a while, they will probably find out that he was murdered. Because the 10 yuan was given by him, and there was a corner missing on it, so it couldn't be used, so it was always hanging on the account. He took it out to Lu Lingli to deceive Hu Erlai, but he didn't expect to fall into a trap. When they came back, they found that the money had fallen in. It was almost dawn, and they did not dare to look for it. When someone found Hu Erlai dead, Accountant Hu ran in front, wanting to go down first and get the money back, but he did not expect that it was secretly hidden by a young man in the village, Hu Daimao. He originally thought that the money was hidden by someone, and in order to avoid the limelight, he would not spend it for the time being, so he did not take it to heart. Unexpectedly, old man Hu actually handed the money in with his son. Now the account is checked. Secretary Hu of the village knows the missing money, so it is only a matter of time before he is found. Accountant Hu hugged Lu Lingli tightly, touched Lu Lingli's belly, and said, Now the police have suspected me. Since you are pregnant, it is my seed, and I can't watch the child die before it is born. Lu Lingli lowered her head, and was overjoyed. From the tone of accountant Hu, he was not going to give her up. Then what should we do? Lu Lingli asked. Let's elope. Accountant Hu thought about it. He couldn't escape with a pregnant woman. Besides, if he eloped with Lu Lingli, his wife and children would be drowned in spit. How about this? You find someone in the village to marry and give birth to my child, the accountant Hu said. I will surrender alone. If I die, you have to raise my child. Lu Lingli covered her mouth, not daring to cry out, and said, let's elope, I don't want you to die. Although Lu Lingli was happy in her heart, she didn't dare to show it on her face. She didn't want to die, she wanted to live. As for accountant Hu, it was accountant Hu at the beginning. Seeing that she was about to starve to death, he took advantage of her. Her money was taken away by her family. She had no money and could only rely on accountant Hu. This also had many advantages, such as the work assigned to her became lighter and less, and she could often eat meat secretly. Lu Lingli didn't want to live as hard as before, so she changed from being forced to taking the initiative. What she didn't expect was that she was pregnant. Just as she was about to think of a way to abort the child, she was caught by Hu Erlai again. There is no place for us in this big world. If we elope, what will happen to my 2 sons and 2 daughters, accountant Hu said sadly. He didn't want to be charged with hooliganism after being charged with murder, which would make his family lose face. Okay, brother Hu, you saved my life, so I will give birth to the child and raise him up. Lu Lingli choked up and said that compared to being shot, there was nothing wrong with finding a man to marry in the countryside. As for the child in her belly, she would not give birth to it. After all, it has been more than 2 months now, and it may not be hidden. Accountant Hu is smart and knows the ways of the world. He guessed Lu Lingli's thoughts. I also know that people will be forgotten after they leave. After I die, if you don't give birth to my child, I will let you accompany me in the underworld. Lu Lingli shivered with fear. Being stared at by accountant Hu's smart eyes, she didn't dare to look up and said, I will definitely give birth to the child, I will definitely give birth to the child. Please let me go, accountant Hu smiled miserably. If he had known this would happen, why did he do it in the first place? He was about to hold his grandchildren, why did he hook up with a little girl? Although the young woman's body was beautiful, it was nothing compared to life. But it was too late to regret. There is no regret medicine in the world. Just remember your words. I died for you and for my child, the accountant Hu said. If you give birth to the child and raise the child obediently, you will be fine. If the threat was self-evident. Lu Lingli saw accountant Hu's shrewdness and ruthlessness, and did not dare to go against the rules, so she said, I will definitely give birth to the child and raise the child well. I hope you will do what you say. I have left evidence. If you don't do what I say, you will go to jail even if you are not sentenced. After the accountant finished speaking, he left. The police who checked the accounts all night found village chief Hu, and took out the money with the corner missing and put it on the table. Qi Ling asked, your village is short of 136 yuan, do you know? Hu's issue wiped the sweat from his forehead and replied, I really don't know. The accountant in the village is doing all the accounting alone. I'd better check it during the Chinese New Year. There was no problem last year, but this year it's not the Chinese New Year yet, so I didn't know there was so much money missing. Hu's issue explained hurriedly, then his eyes fell on the $10 bill with a corner missing, and he stared at it and said, I recognize this $10 bill. Qi Ling was stunned and asked, how do you know this money? It was found on Hu Orli's body. I don't know why this money was on Hu Orli's body, but I know that this money has been in the account of our village branch for several years. Because there is a corner missing, no one wants to share it with anyone, so it has been there forever on the account. I saw it several times when I was checking the accounts, so I remembered, accountant who is in charge of the money and accounts. When Qi Ling heard this, he immediately said to his colleagues, go and arrest accountant Hu. I recommend my old books The Wine Lady and A Fair Wife to complete the article. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 300. 298. It was already light outside. After returning home, accountant Hu did not sleep but sat in the yard. When the police arrived, accountant Hu raised his hands and did not intend to resist. Accountant Hu was taken to the village branch and confessed to killing Hu Erlai and Hu Gauden. Why did you kill them? Qi Ling asked. Where is your other accomplice? Accountant Hu had already thought of a response and said, I have no accomplices, just me. Hu Erlai dragged me to gamble, and then I lost 50 yuan. I didn't want to gamble anymore, so he threatened me and often asked me for money. I had no money and was desperate, so I killed him. As for Hu Gauden, this person is not a good guy. He knew about me and Hu Erlai, so after Hu Erlai died, he also threatened me, so I killed him. Qi Ling, Lao Wu, and others, although they still had some doubts, the fact that a woman was involved before was also their guess and could not be used as evidence. After repeated interrogations, accountant Hu still said that he was alone and nothing more could be asked. The city and county leaders wanted to close the case as soon as possible, so accountant Hu was taken away to await trial and conviction. After Qi Ling finished his work, he went to Qijia village to say goodbye to Secretary Qi and visit He Tian. While drinking, Secretary Qi sighed and said, Old Hu is really, hey, one wrong step, every step is wrong. Village Chief Qi and accountant Hu from Hujia village usually interact a lot, but he didn't expect it to be like this. Qi Ling also sighed and said, yes, gambling harms people. This time, not only did we find the murderer, but we also destroyed a gambling den. Can't you do your job properly? Village Chief Qi said angrily. By the way, have you found out why Hu Erlai and Hu Gauden destroyed the peach orchard in our village? Qi Ling shook his head and said ashamedly, I'm sorry, Uncle Qi, the two parties are dead, and there is no way to investigate. That's okay, Village Chief Qi smiled, you have tried your best. Besides, our village has already sent more people, and no one will dare to come in the future. That's good. If you have anything, you can pass the message to me and I will come immediately. Qi Ling smiled. In order to find an excuse to come here, he really did everything he could. Then I'll remember this. Secretary Qi smiled, and he didn't bother to be polite to Qi Ling. The story of accountant Hu spread to Qijia village. He Tian naturally knew that accountant Hu had confessed. It was indeed accountant Hu who killed Hu Erlai and Hu Gauden. So what role did Lu Lingli play in this case? In this case, even if Lu Lingli was not the mastermind, she was also an accomplice, but accountant Hu confessed alone and said that he killed both. Why didn't accountant Hu confess Lu Lingli? Did he like Lu Lingli so much? He Tian thought about it and felt that it was impossible, but now there is no reasonable explanation. In addition to accountant Hu, Lu Lingli, who is the masked woman? Maybe as previously speculated, Lu Lingli is the masked woman? After this incident, He Tian was very afraid of Lu Lingli and found that she didn't know Lu Lingli. In the future, she will pay more attention to Lu Lingli, maybe she can find some clues from her. Half a month later, another news about Lu Lingli came. Lu Lingli actually married a young man from Hujia village. This young man is Hu Daimao, who took 10 yuan from Hu Erlai's body. He has no mother, only an old father. Lu Lingli is arrogant, how could she suddenly marry a lazy person? Just when He Tian was about to go to Hujia village to inquire about it, Lu Lingli came to the door herself. Tian, I'll invite you to the wedding the day after tomorrow. Lu Lingli looked miserable and complained. He Tian pretended to be surprised and asked, Lu Lingli, don't you look down on this place? You always want to leave here? How could you marry that man? Oh, it's all my fate. Lu Lingli smiled bitterly, it's also my bad luck. I didn't work that day. I wanted to go to the mountains to get some wild vegetables and fruits. The weather was very hot. I saw a stream and saw no one, so I went down to take a bath. I didn't expect to be seen by Hu Damao. He, hey, anyway, I am his now. If I don't marry him, who else can I marry? He Tian squinted her eyes and was secretly surprised. Although Lu Lingli's story was very comprehensive, she didn't believe it. If Hu Damao just used force, with Lu Lingli's temper, Lu Lingli would definitely report Hu Damao for rape. Then take the opportunity to file a report and leave Daowen County. There have been such examples before, everyone knows it. Ah, He Tian was surprised. Then, let's go, I'll take you to report Hu Damao and sue him for rape. Lu Lingli quickly grabbed He Tian and said, Tian, don't, I beg you, don't go to complain. What are you afraid of? As long as you sue, I will help you. He Tian was filled with righteous indignation, and made an angry expression. Don't be afraid, there is still a place to reason now. Tian, please, don't say it. Lu Lingli said, even if I said it, how can I live in Hujia village in the future? Isn't it good to take the opportunity to return to Nanji? Even if you work as a temporary worker, you can have a meal. He Tian frowned and said, they bully you just because they see you swallowing your anger like this. Lu Lingli held He Tian tightly and said, Tian, don't do this. I know you are doing this for my own good. But I can't go back to Nanji now. My house is so small. My brother got married. My mother asked me for money and told me to save money in the countryside and send more money back. She also said that I can't go back this year for the new year because there is no place to live at home. In our family's situation, even if I go back, what can I do? It's better to stay in Hujia village, at least I can have enough food. He Tian was just acting. Since Lu Lingli said so, she no longer insisted and said, then I respect your choice. No matter how difficult it is for you to get married, I will go at this time. Wang Shuping and He Jingyu came back from the peach garden in the back mountain. They saw a little girl talking with her daughter and asked quickly, Tian, is this your friend? He Tian introduced, Mom, she is Lu Lingli. Lu Lingli's face turned pale. Seeing He Tian's parents, the suppressed jealousy in Lu Lingli's heart rose again. He Tian's parents were willing to come to a remote village for He Tian, but what about her parents? For their son, they didn't let their daughter go home, and asked her to send money home. They are both daughters, why is there such a big difference? Even if she can live a good life like He Tian for one day, she will be willing. Recommend B.A. Pai's new book Rebirth of the Noble Woman and the Equal Wife. After rebirth, Lin Yuning has only one goal, to die of old age. Because the list will be changed tomorrow afternoon, I don't know the specific time yet. In order to improve the results, I have to temporarily change the update time. I will update one chapter in the morning, and wait until the list is changed in the afternoon, and send 5 chapters together. Please forgive me for the inconvenience brought to everyone's reading. But Kikai will update more. Moi. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 301. 299. Wang Shuping smiled, not as enthusiastic as before. Oh, then let's stay for lunch, Wang Shuping said politely. If she had a good relationship with He Tian, she would definitely say I must stay for lunch. If He Tian's parents hadn't been seen, maybe Lu Lingli would have stayed for dinner, but not now. Lu Lingli was worried that the jealousy in her heart would show up. No, I still have something to do, so I'm going back first, Aunt Wang. Lu Lingli said, Tian, Come here, I want to talk to you. He Tian had no choice but to follow Lu Lingli to the door and said, what do you want to say? It's not good to talk about that matter. I hope you can help me keep it a secret, Lu Lingli said, we are from the same hometown. I can't talk to other people but can only tell you, otherwise I will choke to death. He Tian nodded and said, I will keep it a secret for you and won't tell anyone else. You make your own decision. I hope you won't regret it in the future. I know, Lu Lingli said, turned around and left. 2 lines of tears flowed down my face. Her life is so miserable. It's more bitter than eating Coptis chinensis. Along the way, Lu Lingli couldn't calm down. When she entered Hujiakan, she saw Hu Daimao looking for her everywhere with a sneer on his lips. She had avoided the death penalty, so the difficulty before her was nothing. If she hadn't been impatient, she wouldn't have found a second-rate guy like Hu Daimao in a hurry. However, Hu Daimao's father is a decent man and has a strong body. It is estimated that he can live for a few years. With the old man around, Hu Daimao does not dare to act recklessly. As for her natal family in Nanchi, after her mother wrote a letter saying that she would not be allowed to go back for the new year, she gave up completely. In my mother's heart, she will always be secondary. In order for her brother to avoid going to the countryside, he sent her to the countryside. Being so far away from home is so hard. She has done so much and earned the indifference and greed of her relatives. From now on, she will live for herself. After Lu Lingli left, Wang Shuping was worried and asked He Tian, what did she tell you? That girl has been a clever girl since she was a child. You can't be deceived by her. In the past, Wang Shuping would never have instilled such thoughts in her daughter, but now, people are unpredictable and have to be careful. As the saying goes, you must not have the intention to harm others, and you must not have the intention to guard against others. As a mother, she would rather hope that her daughter becomes scheming than a silly girl who is fooled. She is getting married soon. She will invite me to a wedding banquet the day after tomorrow, He Tian said, there is nothing else, so don't think too much about it. The reason why He Tian didn't want to tell her parents those things was because she didn't want them to worry. Moreover, she read other people's memories through the Snake King and couldn't explain those things to her mother, so she just didn't say them. Getting married, Wang Shuping was surprised, then she's not planning to return to the city. Maybe so, He Tian said, anyway, I don't have a close relationship with her. At most, we are just acquaintances. Just know. This is her own choice and has nothing to do with us. That's right. That girl's eyes are wrong, a bit fake. Stay away from her in the future and she won't be wrong, Wang Shuping said, teaching her daughter to identify good guys and bad guys. I understand, He Tian responded, where is my dad? Your dad went to Secretary Chi's house for a drink, Wang Shuping said, what did you do at noon? There is braised salted fish, He Tian replied, I asked Grandma to eat. Grandma Chi-san strolled out and said, I met your father just now. He went to Dazu's house for a drink. Our family made salted fish. Sweet girl, please fill a bowl and bring it to your father. Hey, He Tian agreed cheerfully, filled a bowl with it, and sent it over. Secretary Chi's house has 2 meat dishes and several vegetarian dishes, plus the salted fish sent by He Tian, which makes it even richer. He Jingyu felt very proud when he saw that his daughter was well behaved and praised by others. Lu Lingli got married, and even came over to tell He Tian in person, so He Tian had to go. Mom, Lu Lingli is getting married, should I give you something? Or should I give you money? With his mother by his side, He Tian couldn't help but want to ask her mother what to do when she encountered such a thing. Wang Shuping thought for a while and said, Hujia village, like Kijia village, is very remote. It is not easy to go out. You might as well give something to Lu Lingli. She is a girl's family, and there is no natal family to buy a dowry. No matter what you give, it can be of great use to her. He Tian thought for a while and said, then let me give her a piece of cloth, just the blue one. Some time ago, the supply and marketing cooperative processed a batch of cloth from last year. It is relatively cheap, but the pink and floral ones are quite nice. It's also festive. Bring it over and let me take a look, Wang Shuping said. Marriage is a major event in a person's life. When giving gifts, don't give them defective ones. He Tian went to the box, took out the pink floral piece of chui liang, and said, this is the piece of cloth. Wang Shuping turned it over, checked it carefully, nodded and said, well, it's new, there's nothing wrong with it. Just give me this piece of cloth. By the way, are you going there alone? Yes, if Xiao Yan was here before, Xiao Yan could still accompany me. Now that Xiao Yan has gone to the art troupe, I can only go there alone, He Tian said. It's okay, it's very close, and I can go by yourself. He Tian is not afraid of anyone when the Snake King is here. Wang Shuping thought for a while and looked at her daughter's increasingly white face, big bright eyes, and bright red mouth, but she still felt uneasy. No, let your dad, or me, accompany you the day after tomorrow, Wang Shuping said. Send the things over so you don't have to eat there. No need, I can do it. He Tian looked embarrassed, but her parents still regarded her as a little girl who was powerless. Wang Shuping insisted that her daughter was so beautiful and there were so many people out there coveting her, so there couldn't be any mistakes. When a boy is bullied, the most he can do is get beaten. But for girls, it affects them for a lifetime. Huo Yingzhe is a good young man, and the Huo family is a wealthy family. If something happens to their daughter, even if Huo Yingzhe doesn't care, the Huo family will not accept it. Okay, He Tian saw that her mother was so worried, so she agreed, I just said that I have a lot of work in the afternoon and I don't have time to eat there. That's it, Wang Shuping said. Tian, you are getting older, and a girl's reputation is really important. Wherever you go from now on, you must tell your mother first. If you are free, we will accompany you go, if you don't have time, we will make time. Your dad and I are the only child, and we are as nervous as our eyes. Hearing what her mother said, He Tian felt a little guilty before. She just thought her mother was nagging, but she forgot that this was all due to her mother's love. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 302. 00. In her previous life, she wanted to hear such verbosity, but she could only hear it in her dreams. Not being satisfied makes people greedy. Not cherishing it will make people regret it. I know, I won't go out when I'm alone now, He Tian agreed. As for sneaking out alone at night, isn't there the Snake King? Not a person. I don't know what happened to the Snake King recently. She has been hiding in the enchantment space and is unwilling to come out. She has not been to the cave in the back mountain for a few days. Just remember, Wang Shuping pinched her daughter's cute little face. Oh, why is my daughter so beautiful? The more she looks, the more beautiful she becomes. Ha ha ha, He Tian laughed. Parents always want their children to be good looking. Mom is truthful, that's why she doesn't talk nonsense, Wang Shuping said with a smile. To prove that she was right, she looked at Grandma Chi-san, foster mother, don't you think so? Grandma Chi-san looked He Tian up and down, nodded and said, you're right, Tian is good looking, almost the same as when I was young. Ha ha ha, when Shuping and He Tian heard this, they immediately felt that the cutest person should be Grandma Chi-san. Seeing them laughing, Grandma Chi-san pretended to be angry and said, you really don't believe it. When I was young, I wore a bright yellow cheongsam. I looked so beautiful. I have photos of them, Tian has seen them, right? He Tian smiled and explained, it's not that we don't believe what you say, but we think the cutest and most beautiful person in our family is you. After hearing this, Grandma Chi-san also showed a big smile on her face, and said modestly, haha, you two know how to make fun of me. But you are right, my father told me at that time that he wanted to destroy Westlake by Ziza. It's always better to wear heavy makeup and light makeup. It's so appropriate, he Tian agreed. Women should feel that they are beautiful, not only in appearance, but also in their own temperament. The most important thing is to be confident. Hey, among the good things I packed at the bottom of the box, there are still a few pieces of jewelry, but the color is a bit too tender for me to wear. I will leave them to the sweet girl in the future. As for the clothes, hey, there are too few styles, Grandma Chi-san said with emotion. In this era, most people wear pants, shirts, and almost no skirts, let alone cheongsams with slits on both sides. He Tian smiled and said, Grandma, when I have the chance, I will buy you some silk and satin. The dark purple kind is the most elegant and luxurious for old ladies. When the time comes, it will be made into a cheongsam. You can wear it at home, we will not go out, wear it to your heart and feel good. Grandma Chi-san heard this and said happily, can you really get it? Of course, we can. Then we can find a good tailor and make a cheongsam that fits well, he Tian said. Grandma Chi-san is a woman with a bit of a bourgeois sentiment. She likes beautiful clothes and beautiful jewelry. If it were in other eras, it wouldn't matter. But in this era of distorted aesthetics, it is immoral and immodest. You don't need to find a tailor, I can make it, Grandma Chi-san said. When I have good fabrics like you said, I will definitely make a beautiful cheongsam. By the way, I also have a pair of embroidered cloth shoes. I don't have embroidered cloth shoes. High heels are fine too. 100 years from now, I will be buried in this outfit. I don't want to wear those monotonous big-breasted pants and big-waisted trousers, they are so ugly. Grandma Chi-san is making arrangements for her death. She has so many good things, but she cannot wear them while she is alive, so she hopes to wear them better when she dies. He Tian felt very sad after hearing this. Hey, Grandma Chi-san has so many good things that she can't use, so she must have a lot of regrets in her heart. Grandma, don't worry, I will definitely get you some good silk and satin, he Tian said, please take good care of yourself. Maybe soon, we will be able to wear colorful clothes of various colors. After hearing this, Grandma Chi-san smiled and said, I hope so. In this life, she has seen through it all. If you can live well. If you can live well, you will never wrong yourself. Wang Shuping was greatly surprised by what Grandma Chi-san said. In a blink of an eye, the day of Lu Lingli's wedding came. Wang Shuping asked her husband He Jingyu's daughter to go to Hujiakan together with a piece of cloth and a gift of 50 cents. He Jingyu was waiting not far away, and He Tian went directly to the settlement in the village. Lu Lingli was wearing fairly neat clothes today, with a flower in the left pocket of her coat. There were several young people in the city talking and laughing around her, but some of them said something that was quite insincere. He Tian understands the hearts of these educated youths. On the one hand, they look down on Lu Lingli for marrying a rural person, on the other hand, they envy Lu Lingli for having no worries about food and drink in the future. When Lu Lingli saw He Tian coming over, she smiled and said, Tian, come and sit quickly. When the young people in the city saw He Tian coming, they stopped joking and looked at He Tian. Lu Lingli, you are so good looking, a fellow villager, a young man in the city said with envy, no wonder you can do so well in Kijia village and even have a grandma. Lu Lingli had heard too much of their sarcasm before, and now she saw them ridiculing He Tian. Although she thought so in her heart, He Tian was here to congratulate her on her wedding today. That's sincerity for sincerity, Lu Lingli said, just like you looked down on rural people before. Although rural people are honest, they are not fools, and others can see that, so why should they be nice to you? When the young woman heard what Lu Lingli said, she became anxious and said angrily, I'm just talking about it, why are you trying to bully people like this? He Tian didn't expect Lu Linggang to speak for her, and today was Lu Linggang's happy day. He Tian didn't want her appearance to cause Lu Linggang to have conflicts with these people. Sisters, I'm rude. He Tian smiled politely and said, anyway, today is a happy day for Sister Lingli. We are all from the world, so let's bless her together. When everyone heard this, they all looked up to He Tian. Oops, you can tell whether someone is good or bad as soon as they open their mouth. Yes, marriage is the most important day for a woman. If you have anything to say, we'll talk about it later. Now let's get married to Lu Lingli in a hurry. One of the older educated youths said that today's trouble will make Lu Lingli hate her for the rest of her life. Lu Lingli got married and settled down in Hujiakan. But they are still wandering. They don't want to marry the locals, and they can't leave here. Their life is difficult. There may be a time when Lu Lingli can be used in the future. When everyone heard this, they all agreed. He Tian also smiled and said, yes, we are all lesbians, so we should unite together. He Tian is right, why bother women, said a young man in the city. This sentence makes sense and calms down everyone's minor conflicts.